Alright, we're back. We are back for the winner's match. Meanwhile, I saw some very interesting adjectives you guys chose. Dogmatic game. Foreignery game. I like that one. And another description that I probably should not say on air. So, with that, we shall go to the winner's match. Another TVZ, Cryok coming out again to play against Technics. Alright, this is going to be good. It's going to be on match point. And I think the biggest question here is what race is Technics going to play this time? Because we saw him play Protoss already. I don't think he plays PVT though. I think he only plays PVZ, really. Well, not sure. I guess we'll see. Let's go into the game. Alright, here we go. The bottom left as the white Terran, we have Cryok. And at the top right as the orange Zerg, we have Technics BG, Mr. Bulgaria himself. It looks like he's just going to play a ZVT against Cryok, not going to goof around too much here. I don't know if this is just because, again, he doesn't really play PVT anyway, or, you know, he's giving Cryok a little bit of credit for being pretty good. Maybe he thinks it's more interesting to beat Cryok ZVT because Cryok, you know, has pretty decent TVZ, whereas TVP might not be so good anyway. So, yeah, looks like interesting direction this Overlord is going. Looks like he's just going to check for proxies and whatnot instead of going directly to the Terran's base, which is probably pretty smart. We've already seen a crazy cheese on this map today, which sadly didn't work. And Cryok is looking like he's going to do a bit of a wall in here at the front of his natural. I'm not sure, or rather I don't think you can do a link tight wall here, but it doesn't necessarily have to be link tight to wall. You can just block a single gap with an SCV or something. Let's see what he does to follow up. Presumably that just means he's going to fast expand behind, whereas Technics looks like he is going for a 12 hatchery. I guess in theory, Cryok could try and 14cc. Oh my god, he is going to 14cc. Wow! Wow, like a boss. 14cc. Oh yeah. I mean, you know what? I think that's actually a really smart thing to do. Because he's playing against Technics, who is, you know, definitely one of the top foreigners at the moment. And if you're playing against someone that good, you know, you want to take a risk. And in fact, I think Technics and Siki are probably the only people who have better records than Cryok in Gambit's Cup. I think it's Siki number 1, Technics 2, and then Cryok 3 or something. I'm actually not sure. I didn't keep up with the the rankings, but it's something like that, or at least it was for a while. So yeah, it looks like Technics going for a gas right away off his 2 hatchery, so he's gonna be going for something like a 2 hatch muta. And well, there is the command center from Cryok, and Technics is not going to know about it for a really long time, in particular because this Overlord went down first and then went across. So he's kind of checked for proxies, as well as, I guess, made sure that, well, basically just checked for proxies. What was the other thing I was going to say? I completely forgot. Well, I guess he kind of also avoids any kind of, like, weird 8 racks Marine snipe on the Overlord, like taking a slightly weirder route and also kind of going down and then having the shortest distance to move cross map. But I'm not sure if that's necessarily a huge concern. Anyway, there is the layer starting straight away, as we can see. and Cryok sees what's going on, so he's gonna know, well, he does know that it's 2H muta, or what looks like 2H muta. It could be 2H lurker, but I find that very unlikely, especially from someone like Technics, who has very strong muta control, doesn't need to, you know, use shenanigans like lurker rushes. But yeah, I mean, you know, presumably Cryok will know, Cryok will know what to do here to deal with this 2-hatch. And he's going factory. Does that mean he's going Valkyries? This could very well mean he's going Valkyrie. Oh my goodness. This is crazy. Is that going to be out in time though? I mean, I guess he could just make Goliaths, but that would be boring. Huh. He's not getting an additional factory. It smells like Valkyries. This is very, very interesting. Meanwhile, the Lings are poking at the front. He's got a bunker. He's gonna block off the link gaps here. I don't know if that's tight or that's tight. These sides look tight, and it looks like Cryok thinks they are, so he's gonna block that off just fine and dandy. Meanwhile, there is, of course, the Spire from Mr. Technics and Starport. Starport. Oh, I'm gonna be like the Korean commentators. I'm not gonna click it for like 30 seconds. Ready? Ready? Oh, Potu. Oh, god damn it. Well, that was like complete. Oh man, God, no, make a Starport, man. Oh. Well, now I'm just sad. Man, I was like trying to be all cool and shit. Oh man, it's like high school all over again. I mean, what? Alright, so it is just gonna be like standard mech. It's gonna get Goliaths. Interestingly, the Overlord is like barely out of vision range. So he actually doesn't realize that this is some pure mech play going on here. And of course, Cryok gonna get the engineering bay as well, because he's not gonna have enough Goliaths just to purely defend with them. And look at this, Technics going for the 12 o'clock expansion again, just like Sir Bakuryu did earlier on today in his ZVT. This is gonna be interesting though. Playing against mech. Curious. So mech is one of those strategies that isn't nearly as popular as bio, especially nowadays. It used to be a little bit more popular, but now it's basically like one of those strategies that, you know, D+, C- Terrans will do a lot in TVZ, but really high-level players rarely do. Because Zergs are pretty good against it now, like the initial mech. It's very hard. You can't really put any pressure on the Zerg player early on, so it really lets the Zerg kind of go crazy and drone up and go really greedy. So going for like early mid-game mech is not very common anymore. Of course, the late-game mech switch is still very, very powerful and still very standard. But this kind of early-game mech is kind of not very seen in high levels. Basically, it's mechanically a lot easier than going bio, which is why you see it more in lower levels. And of course, at lower levels, the Zerg aren't as good as dealing with it. But I'd imagine Technics knows exactly what he's supposed to do, which is, of course, well, for now, abuse the fact that the Goliaths don't have range yet. But also the general response to this, the general strategy is expand a lot, go Hydra, Muta, and just out-macro your opponent. Again, very difficult for Cryok to actually move out from his two bases. He's going to have to wait a very long time to mass up more units, and by that time, Technics will be able to have plenty of time to do basically whatever he wants. And look at this, it's being really aggressive with these mutas. Range has now finished for the Goliath, and the useful thing about going pure mech is that you don't need the engineering bay to upgrade anything, so you can actually use it to float out here. I mean, if he was going bio, every building would actually be useful, so he can actually do this floating building thing. But because he doesn't need the upgrade, you can just go ahead and do that, and that helps a lot against the mutas. He always got some pretty good turret coverage here around his infrastructure and around his mineral lines. I don't know what this random vultures do for. I guess it's kind of blocking the Zerg things going in. Meanwhile, Technics will continue to try and poke around with these mutas. Of course, since he did go for 2H muta, he does need to kill a number of SCVs, although he's already got a bunch of them, so I think they might have already been worth it here, and he's already got his third base up safely. He is going straight lurkers anyway, though, despite seeing the mech, which is a little bit surprising to me. You normally go straight for lurkers if you're facing bio. Against mech, lurkers are actually not nearly as effective. The Goliaths have a bit more range than Marines, so they don't clump up and obviously they're bigger, so they don't clump up as much as the Marines. They don't take as much splash damage, and they also just have a lot more HP in general. So the lurker is really not nearly as good against them. It's generally better to just go mass Hydra. But I guess Technics knows better than I do. On the other hand, I mean, I guess because there's no comsats here, well, now there's comsats, but I guess because of the late comsats, if he could like move up here and just burrow, he can actually pick off all the wall buildings well, out of range of detection. Like, this turret might barely detect around here, but if you can just burrow on the side or snipe it with his mutas, you can actually just get the free wall and just like run in with his Zerglings or something, which could be cool if it works. I guess we'll see. He's doing a really good job with the mutas though, picking up a lot of SCVs and a lot of Goliaths. He's got a huge supply lead, 72 supply against just 55 here. Cryok, meanwhile. Oh, looks like he does have +1 now though, so that'll help a little bit. And here we go, the Lurkers are moving in. Now there's that one turret again. Is it in range though? Is it spotting? It's not quite giving him vision. So now he's going to lose his wall here. Oh man, really smart move here from Technics. And he's also getting a fourth base here at the minute only. And you know, this is actually quite interesting because one of the vulnerabilities of going mech is that your comsats, your academy, are relatively late. So even though Lurkers, you know, head-on aren't that cost-efficient against the mech army, by getting them so early and abusing this this lack of detection at the wall, he's doing a good job. There's one scan though. The Goliath's going to move forward and start picking off these Lurkers, and this is what I was talking about. The Goliaths have really good range, so they're not really scared of the Lurker splash damage. They can just move through. He's going to force them back. He did pick off a couple of depots though. And can continue to harass with the Mutalisks. Technics is really controlling the pace of the game here. He's just Technics completely on the back. Sorry. Cryo completely on the back foot, just responding to what his opponent's doing. But look at this. Really nice drone count at the natural. Pretty good drone count at the main and the third. Getting an Evo chamber, getting another hatchery, staying on top of his macro. He's got a lot of gas in the bank, but obviously he'll be able to spend that later on anyway. So it's not a huge deal. 87 supply against 68. Still in a really good spot here, and he's going to continue to poke around with the mutas. Is he getting an upgrade though? He's not getting an upgrade from him, and also getting +1 carapace straight away. This is actually quite interesting because even though he's facing a mech player, he's getting all the upgrades that he would if he was playing against Bio. Fast Lurkers, fast carapace. The only thing that really shows that he's responding to the mech is that he's got a pretty quick fourth base here. Because otherwise, you know, if I wasn't seeing what the Terran was doing, if I only looked at the Zerg base, I would assume he was just playing against a Bio player. You know, it's much more common to get +1 ranged attack rather than +1 carapace. +1 carapace is what you get, you know, if you're rushing for Hive, you know, get the Lurkerling Defiler, you want those upgrades for your Cracklings. But yeah, if you're going for like a standard anti-mech Muta Hydra composition, you generally get +1 ranged attack on your Hydras. So quite interesting what he's doing here. I mean, surely Technics knows what he's doing, so I'm not questioning it. I'm just saying it's an interesting deviation from what I would normally expect. Anyway, it looks like there's enough Goliaths here to actually push back these few Lurkers. You can see Technics didn't overmake them. He just kind of made a few to break down the wall and put some pressure on Cryok, just freak him out a little bit. But otherwise, it's just kind of expanded, teched up, and droned up clearly with a very, very solid economy. And meanwhile, now that all the Goliaths are out of position, he's going back in with the Mutas, which is being so annoying with these Mutalisks. Really good job here from Technics. Meanwhile, is he going to expand again? No, it's just a couple Overlords, okay. So the Goliaths are coming back, half of them are at least. The other half is just going to keep position here. He's not putting the SCV out to take that base just yet. He's going to be banking a lot of money for some reason. Kyle come out 1k, almost 1k. We're going to get a few free Lurkers here at the front at least. Meanwhile, Technics pulling his Mutas back. I'm not really sure what he's doing right now. He's getting a couple extra hatcheries, and this is what I'm talking about here. So basically, he's actually staying on Lairtech for pretty long. He's just now getting his Queen's Nest, but yeah, he's got so many hatcheries. He's going up to looks like 7 hatcheries. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7 hatcheries. Going to be able to produce a ton of units in response to the mech, and that's generally the way you deal with it. Mech is for the most part extremely cost efficient. TVZ, well, TV anything really. So the way you deal with it is instead of trying to you know, do sneaky, cost-efficient things yourself, is generally just amass a bunch of units and overwhelm them. And here we go. Muta-Ling Lurker moving in here. A lot of Goliaths and tanks, but is it enough here? I don't think so. Decent micro from Krog. He's pulling the Goliaths back. The tanks obviously can't go anywhere, and it looks like with all those units overhead, it is going to go Technics' way here. The first attack getting destroyed, and that is very bad for the meching player here. The mech army is so expensive, so difficult to reproduce here, and now this third base is very exposed. A few more units coming out here, but very small army left for Cryok. 79 supply against 90 supply for Technics, who is expanding yet again to the bottom right base here. He is in a pretty dominant position here. I mean, Krauk at least is getting this mineral only, but can he hold it? I don't think so. He's got so few units. He needs to siege up now. Even if he sieges up, all the lurkers and the mutants are moving in. If he can get a good shot off on these lurkers, a nice scan there, and it looks like he might hold, but more reinforcements are coming in here. Cryok is losing the last of these units. He's going to lose his third base here. Technics is just rolling him over. So many reinforcements coming in, just mass Zergling spam here, and Cryok loses the last of the units. SCV's transferred, but they have to evacuate now with the lurkers there. Oh my god, the lurkers might just blow on the SCVs. Oh man, he's gonna lose a couple of the SCVs, maybe? Wow, somehow they all survive here because the SCV is OP. Cryok falling back, making an emergency turret, and trying to slowly push the units away, but Technics is on 5 bases anyway, so even if he gets that third, I don't think it really matters in the long run. Here we go, Mutiling are moving in here. They do have their +1 carapace against 1/1 mech, but you know, with so few mech units, just gonna overrun. Well, not quite actually. Look, he didn't move in here. Oh, they're actually. I thought he could have moved in, but actually it looks like Croc is barely gonna hold. There weren't actually any more reinforcements for some reason for Technics. Looks like. Alright, he's just gonna chill a little bit. Didn't actually send in all the additional Zerglings. Got triple Evos going as well. I mean, his economy is so good that he can afford to do whatever he wants. Anyway, looks like gonna deny an attempted, maybe slight, semi-sneaky expansion there. And, I mean, you know, this is a decent-ish position to hold, even though it is a ramp going down, attacking into the base. It is not that wide, so, you know, with a bunch of siege tanks here, Cryok can kind of hold, although it's not ideal. Meanwhile, though, again, 5 bases, plenty of upgrades, plenty of tech. Once that overload speed finishes, and if he gets dropped, he can start, you know, dropping on top of siege tanks, even counter-dropping in the main base. Since all of Cryok's forces are focused up here, Cryok for some reason still only has 4 factories. Really could up the factory count here. You know, even though he doesn't have that much gas, you know, a couple more factories just purely spamming vultures would probably be a good idea at this point, especially since he's got a mineral-only base here. He's going to have to figure out a way to spend those minerals somehow. Meanwhile, it looks like a mine handily blocking the drone from expanding, but technically going to take care of that, easy peasy. Meanwhile, it looks like everything's going to the bottom right for some reason. Looks like there was like a bit of a vulture harass, and just like a gigantic line of Zerglings went down there, so I missed that. Only a couple of drones died, but nothing too severe, it doesn't look like. Well, we're going to poke out a little bit. Take care of these lurkers and not lose a siege tank. And for some reason, Technics' army is primarily Zerglings, which is interesting. I don't really see how that's going to deal with this big mech army, though. Well, not really big, but, you know, it's a decent mech army at this point. Is Technics just saving money for something else? Is he making like a bunch of ultras? He's only spamming lings right now. Okay, he's made a few hydras as well. But, yeah, it's like pure Zergling spam, which isn't terrible against mech if you can close with the tanks. I mean, even if you lose all your lings, it's so cheap that it's not really a huge loss. Looks like he's going to poke around here. He's going to go for an attack. There's a couple of Marines even with this army. I guess they were just unloaded from the bunker and just brought forward here. And here we go. They actually will be quite useful against the Zerglings. But mass cracking's moving in. A few vultures helping out here. And see, if Cryok had spent all his extra minerals on a few extra vultures, he could have helped a lot buffering against the Zerglings. But as it is, the Zerglings do clean up a lot of the tanks here, even though Cryok is holding. I think that was still relatively cost efficient for Technics, just trading away pure Zergling for a good number of the expensive mech units. Looks like Cryok finally adding on some more vultures here, finally adding on some more factories, but look at his minerals really getting high here, even if he doesn't have the gas to afford the tanks and the Goliaths. Really just should pump out some extra vultures, you know, do some vulture harass, try and do something here. I mean, look at this 12 o'clock base, only has a single lurker there defending, 6 o'clock is undefended, it's just a single sunken colony here, can really do some good harassment on these mineral lines, and that's one of the things you really have to do as mech, because your army is so immobile, because you're so defensive in the early mid game. The only real attacking force you have is the vultures. So really should be doing some more of that. I mean, he's starting to lay some lines out on the map, but going up to 1,000 minerals is not ideal. Meanwhile, Technics is taking every base on the map here. He's going up to 6 bases essentially. Everything on his side of the map and more. And looks like Croc finally going to do some harassment here. Although it looks like a few Zerglings coming out for Technics are going to sort of block that. The Vulture's getting a little bit stuck in the mineral line. Going to get a couple of drones, but nothing too severe. And Technics has so many bases, so much economy, that it doesn't really matter anyway. I'm just waiting for this like mass ultra, mass guardian, whatever switch the Technics is going to do here. You can't just only make Zerglings all day long, right? For some reason his gas is really low, even though he's making pure Zerglings. I don't know what he's spending his gas on. I actually don't know how he doesn't have more gas than this. Does he have like a bunch of lurkers somewhere or something that I'm just not seeing? He's made a few defiles here and there. I guess partly because this is a mineral only base, but really he's got 1, 2, 3, 4. He's got 5 gas now, so the gas should be just, you know, really coming in here. I'm sure you're a little bit confused by this. I'm sure I'm just missing something somewhere, but yeah, we do have 8 factories in the base now, so that's quite nice. Quark is going to start really adding on those vultures. Really necessary, especially with the mineral only base here, to just add those on. And looks like going to finally try and establish a top left base here. Going to go out with these vultures, and you can see they're actually going to do a much better job against the Zerglings compared to just the Field Goliaths and the Siege Tanks, although they're still going to get taken down by just an endless swarm of numbers. Real the supply is still staying fairly even, which is okay, and uh-oh, could be a big drop going in, although there are a good number of turrets here, but leading with the empty Overlords, a very nice job. Just going to do a crackling drop in the main base. Hopefully Quark has a Vulture Force to help defend this. It's only Zergling, so if he just brings back a bunch of Vultures, it will be okay. But he just sacrificed a good number of Vultures going towards the 12. Oh man, he's got a big tank line. Really nicely shaped tank line as well, actually, at the top left. But bringing back some Vultures, I think he will be able to clean this up. It's not that big of a drop. The cracklings do take down buildings very, very quickly. As you can see, just going to murder the few tech buildings that they target. But here we go, the Vultures coming in. Should be able to clean this up here. Just going to lift off that side slowly and make sure it stays alive here. Ooh, gotta be careful not to mind bomb himself. No, it looks like it wasn't too bad. Anyway, he's also at 2-1 upgrades against, wow, 2-2 Zerg though, so it looks like Technic's also out upgrading Quark. But Quark has taken this top left base, and this, here's the thing. Even though Quark is definitely behind right now, playing mech on a 2-player map and splitting the map is very difficult for the Zerg to deal with. I mean, you can see Technics go for a lot of drops here, but if Quark just turtles up, plays cost efficiently, and the map gets mined out, Quark could potentially just force it into a situation where Technics is mined out and doesn't have enough money to kill his opponent. But although the problem is that Technics has both the 12 and the 6, if Quark really wants a shot of making that happen, he at least has to deny one of these bases, even if he can't take it, like somehow just siege down the 6 o'clock from outside or something. So even if he's not mining the base, Technics doesn't have that many more resources. But oh man, this is going to be a much more substantial drop, and because the initial drop cleared out most of the turrets here, Quark could be in trouble here. He's got a few mines, but they're not quite in position. And here we go, the big drop coming into the back of the main base here. Technics playing the map very, very well. And a few Vultures coming back, but with Ultralisks and Hydras in this drop this time, those Vultures alone will not be able to deal with it, especially, oh my god, there's actually so many Cracklings there as well. 3-2 Cracklings against, it looks like 2-1 next still, so these are going to be really, really effective, just cleaning out the back of the main base. Oh man, with the Dark Swarm there as well, so brutal. Oh man, Quark now getting supply block, losing his supply depot farm. And Quark, even though he's established a decent position here at the top left, you can see he's building everything there. He's rebuilding all his depots at the top left there, just kind of maybe just going to move everything. He might, since he's going to lose all these buildings anyway, he might even want to just lift all the factories and reposition them between the natural and the third in this area. And just not have to worry about defending the main base anymore, because it's mined out anyway, and since he's lost all the depots, I mean, the only buildings left are the factories we can just lift, and it saves him so much of a headache trying to come all the way back to defend this main base that I think I wouldn't be opposed to him lifting the factories, especially since he's supply blocked now. He can't build anything anyway. These factories are going to be idle for you know, a minute or two at least, so I would actually just reposition them right now instead of having to constantly defend them against drops. Meanwhile, though, a bit of an army massing up at the top here, but it doesn't look like that's going to be able to get anywhere against that nice tank line. Barracks even being rebuilt, so we can remake some factories. Looks like Quark isn't gonna relocate, which is fine. I mean, it's a bit of a crazy idea, to be honest. But here we go, another drop going on. See, this is what I'm talking about, though. He's going to keep getting dropped here, so why not just lift everything and then just put it somewhere else, and then just ignore the main base? Because everything left that matters can lift. And he's still supply blocked, basically, so he still can't make units. It's actually really hurting him. Meanwhile, though, some headway being made here at the top left. The Siege Tanks kill most of it, just a couple of Lurkers left, but man, Dark Swarm's covering everything, and actually, Ultra's coming in the back now. These are definitely going to do a lot better, and oh man, there's still 6 Siege Tanks left. But these Ultras are going to close with them, no supporting units, and oh man, this top left base, it looked well fortified, but unfortunately for Quark, he got massively supply blocked, could not make units, and now is just losing everything. Technics basically maxed. Quark falling down to 109 supply. He held on for a long time, did a good job, but unfortunately, this is looking like the end for our heroic Terran player here. He's no longer got control of his main, and GG from Cryok. Technics will advance 2-0 from the group. The big favorite to win has pulled through and gone on to the round of 16. All right. So congratulations to Technics, but Cryok will go back and play in the final match against the winner of the upcoming losers match between Assault and Malkia. It's going to be a ZVZ on match point right after the break.